So it looks like Joe Biden will be proposing a $753 billion Pentagon budget. And so we can see the story says the Biden administration is requesting $753 billion in spending on the U.S. military in its first $1.5 trillion budget blueprint, disappointing progressives and prompting serious concerns from the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee that will ultimately decide just how much to appropriate. And so, luckily, Bernie Sanders is the chairman of the Senate Budget Committee, and so hopefully he's able to exert a solid amount of leverage to make sure that this budget is not, or the military budget is not as large as it's currently being proposed. The Biden administration has come out and defended how much they're asking for. But it's ridiculous. We spend more money on our military than the next 10 countries combined. And it's unnecessary. We could cut the budget in half and still spend more than any other country in the world. It's just the opposite direction of what we can go in, both on like a pragmatic sense where we could be putting this money towards much better uses. I think under the Trump administration, one of the increases to the military budget would have been enough to fund free college. And then also we've seen studies that have come out from the Department of Housing and Urban Development that said about $20 billion annually is what could be spent on eradicating homelessness in the US. $20 billion annually. There'd be a tiny sliver of what we spend on the military. And so these are just areas where the money could be going. But also just out of principle, this is not the direction that we should be going. We don't want to be this ever increasing military. We don't want this the continue feeding the military industrial complex. We know that Biden already has members in his administration that were very much a part of that. However you want to define the military industrial complex, Biden has members in his administration that are a part of that. Lloyd Austin comes to mind. His Secretary of Defense was I believe he was on the board of Raytheon. Seems like a huge conflict of interest there. Shouldn't even be something that's allowed, but it's what happens. If we want to get serious about things, people that are worried about war and everything, we should be talking about nuclear disarmament, getting all the nuclear powers together. China, Russia, India, Pakistan, the UK, France, the US, Israel. We should be talking about getting rid of nukes. That is the direction that we should be going. That is how society is going to move forward. That's how, one of the big threats of the past, I guess since World War II has really been the threat of a nuclear war. And it's, a miracle in many ways that one hasn't broken out. And so we need to be talking about how to eliminate the possibility of that happening. And that's just one tiny sliver of this. But the Biden administration hasn't been good on the military front so far. We saw the bombing in Syria pretty early on. We've seen that the continued support for Saudi Arabia as they wage a literal genocide in Yemen. Not good whatsoever. And this is just kind of we're not seeing some $200 billion increase like we saw under Trump. I believe that was the first increase that we saw. It went from $540 billion to $720 billion. So it's massive increases under Donald Trump. And that's not what we're seeing with Biden. So that's good. We would assume that the increase would have been larger under Donald Trump, if he had won. And so when people point to this and say oh, there was no point in voting for Joe Biden over Donald Trump, that's definitely not true. There are some pretty key differences. Any amount of critical thought should show you why Joe Biden would have been the better option than Donald Trump. But that doesn't make it good. And luckily we have Bernie Sanders, Senate Budget Chair Committee, our chairman of the Senate Budget Committee. We have people like Elizabeth Warren is calling this out, and I think we're going to see more people, probably Ed Markey, people like that are going to be speaking out against this, and hopefully we are able to see this decrease and see the larger. I'm just worried that Bernie will have to give up more in other areas and then kind of accept to get more in other areas. Maybe more on infrastructure spending, which is another thing. When we look at the infrastructure plan that Biden is putting forward, it's just not even remotely close to what it should be. It's good. It's better than what we would have gotten under Trump, but it could be more. And when we talk about these people that want to play the budget game of okay, well we can only spend this much because we have this much total. We can take a chunk out of the military budget and that can go towards infrastructure spending, which would be much more important. But regardless, this is where we're at right now, and hopefully we can see this number decrease. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you disagree with what I had to say, definitely let me know. But if you did enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe, and have a great day.